Meghan Markle. Seemed like a nice lady. Just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light-skinned lottery? It all started like a normal comedy special. The lights went down, the audience was excited, and Chris Rock walked into the spotlight. But what happened next, that wasn't just comedy. That felt like a public takedown. And the person in the hot seat was Meghan Markle. That's black girl trying to be accepted by her white in-laws. So hard. It's very hard, but it ain't as hard as a white girl trying to be accepted. There was no build-up, no subtle hints. Rock went straight in. In less than a minute, he turned Meghan from the media's poor victim into one of the biggest punchlines of the night. You bring a white girl home for Thanksgiving, your mama going to say something? The mama's like, why is there a social worker at the table? Like, Mama, that's Jackie. We've been married 9 years. And the craziest part, those weren't even his best jokes. The real damage was in the pauses that followed when the audience laughed, thought about it, and then realized, wait, he's actually right. For years, Meghan had played the role of the misunderstood outsider, the one who didn't know what she was getting into. But with a few quick lines, Rock flipped her image completely. He painted her not as innocent, but as entitled, controlling, and hungry for the fame she claimed to hate. And that was just the start. Because after that, the jokes weren't just funny. They set off a chain reaction. The fairy tale image of Meghan, the Hollywood actress who stumbled into a cold, cruel Alice life, suddenly looked fake. The whole story sounded less like reality and more like a made-up script. And Rock didn't bother coding it. He compared Meghan claiming she didn't know the royals to a basketball player pretending they'd never heard of the NBA. The crowd lost it. It was short, simple, and impossible to argue with. In that moment, the picture broke apart. Because the truth is, Meghan didn't just walk blindly into royalty. She knew exactly what she was stepping into. She dated a prince for years, studied the family, and walked into the palace fully prepared with the perfect smile and the cameras already waiting. And then came Chris Rock. What he really did that night was give the audience permission to say out loud what they've been secretly thinking all along. That's the real power of a joke like this. It doesn't just make you laugh. It slowly strips away the mask. Until people realize, hold on, maybe we've all been fooled. He didn't hold back when it came to Meghan Markle and his new Netflix special, Selective Outrage. The comedian, 58, joked that the royal family's so-called concerns about Archie's skin color weren't actually racism, but just the usual in-law drama. The show, filmed live in Baltimore, marked Netflix's first ever live stream comedy event. In it, Rock went after Meghan with a string of jokes, starting with his take on how everyone wants to play the victim. Everybody's trying to be a victim, Rock said. Meghan Markle seems like a nice lady just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light-skinned lottery? Hit the light-skinned lottery and still going on complaining, acting all dumb like she don't know nothing going on. Oprah I didn't know. I had no idea. Rock then reminded the audience that Meghan married into one of the oldest institutions with a well-documented history of racism. Still, he argued that not everything she went through counts as racist. It's the royal family. They're the original racists. They invented colonialism. He said some of the crap she went through wasn't racism. It was just some in-law crap. What the is she talking about? She didn't know the is the royal family. They're the original racists. They invented colonialism. They're the OGs of racism. They're the Sugar Hill Gang of racism. He brought up Meghan's infamous 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey where she revealed that members of the royal family had concerns and conversations about how dark her baby's skin might be before he was born. Oprah's stunned reaction at the time went viral. Meghan also said Archie wouldn't be given a title or security protection, which added to her distress. But Rock argued that asking about a baby's skin tone isn't automatically racist. That's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby's going to be, he said, getting laughs from the crowd. Some of that she went through was not racism. They wanted to know how brown the baby was going to be. I'm like, that's not racist. 'Cause even black people want to know how brown the baby going to be. We check behind them ears. So far, neither Meghan nor Prince Harry has ever named the family members who allegedly made those remarks. After the Oprah interview first aired, Buckingham Palace issued a rare statement on behalf of Queen Elizabeth II, saying the family was saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan. The palace also added, the issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. And Meghan wasn't the only one Rock roasted that night. Towards the end of his set, he circled back to the Oscar slap, calling out Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. Rock admitted the incident still hurts, but of course, he found a way to even turn that pain into comedy. The toughest part for Meghan, she wasn't even there to defend herself. But honestly, she didn't need to be. From that night on, the whole poor Meghan storyline was done. Late night hosts, stand-up comics, even random Twitter accounts. Everyone smelled blood. What Rock managed to do in under 5 minutes could take her PR team years, maybe even decades to repair. Because here's the thing about a perfect roast. It doesn't just land, it explodes. And Rock's set did exactly that. Within hours of the special airing, his Meghan jokes were everywhere. TikTok edits, Twitter clips, YouTube breakdowns, even freeze frames of audience members doubled over in laughter. And that was just the beginning. British comedians jumped on it instantly, painting Meghan and Harry as walking contradictions, claiming to hate the spotlight while cashing Netflix checks and chasing status. Their humor was sharp, dry, and delivered with a kind of bite only lifelong royal watchers could pull off. Meanwhile, across the pond, US late-night hosts caught the same scent. They tore into The brand deals, the self-pity, and of course, the infamous, "We want privacy" line, mocking it so hard you could almost imagine the palace chuckling in the background. First guess, the prince and his wife. We want privacy. We want privacy. But here's the real sign of trouble. The jokes started to overlap. Comedians who'd never shared a stage were making the exact same cracks. That's not a coincidence. That's when a narrative officially flatlines. By the end of the week, Meghan wasn't the misunderstood duchess or even the struggling actress. She was comedy's newest running gag. A living headline full of contradictions. Too easy, too obvious, and way too tempting for comedians to pass up. The roast had gone global, and it wasn't slowing down. If Chris Rock struck the match, the internet wasted no time pouring gasoline on it. Within days, Meghan's most awkward moments weren't just being laughed at, they were being recycled into viral content. On TikTok, creators stitched her interviews with eye rolls, sarcastic voiceovers, and laugh tracks straight out of old sitcoms. That odd snack rebragging scene from her Netflix series, instant meme material. Her constant celebrity name drops compiled into edits titled Meghan's Imaginary Friends. Twitter was even harsher. Side-by-side screenshots of her contradictions spread like wildfire. Privacy, please. Paired with stage paparazzi shots. People didn't just post them for laughs. They weaponized them with captions so sharp they didn't even need punchlines. Meanwhile, YouTube creators went full detective mode. They broke down her interview frame by frame, pointing out forced expressions, dramatic pauses, and lines that sounded more like PR copy than real emotion. Overnight, Meghan stopped being seen as the Duchess sharing her truth. Instead, she became a character in a never-ending soap opera, one that the internet wasn't taking seriously anymore. Sympathy had left the chat. What was left was mockery. The real danger with memes is how fast they spread.